What is up, everybody? It is Grand Prix GP02 here, coming to you once again from the north end of Houston, Texas. And this week, well, I have been welcomed into the Brotherhood of Muscle. I have been given the keys to what could potentially be the ultimate family hauler. It's the 2018 Dodge Durango SRT.
They disgrace the art of war. They are privileged to die at my feet. They disgrace the art of war. They will not enjoy this. Their fate is sealed. They are privileged to die at my feet.
All right, everyone, so let's get to it. And first off, before anything else happens, I have to give a huge thank you to the folks at Dodge, because what you guys are looking at here today is the most powerful, the fastest, the most expensive, and definitely the best looking press car that I have ever received to this day. Now, it may be hard to believe at first, but today's body style of the Dodge Durango has actually been with us for close to a solid decade already. And in that time frame, to me, it's just been like a lot of the other big engine 3-row crossovers and SUVs that have been out on the North American market. However, to me, what the Durango has always needed, especially with a lot of its other higher performing siblings, is something a little special, something to really set it apart from a lot of the other big SUVs out there on the market. And if there's one company within the confines of FCA that knows a thing or two about that, it's SRT. Now, as a lot of car enthusiasts will tell you, from the beginning, the formula at SRT has pretty much been the exact same thing. Doesn't matter whether it's applied to a Dodge, Chrysler, or Jeep product, you pretty much get a massive engine up front, upgraded wheels, tires, brakes, suspension, and more, and a design that in many ways looks nothing short of muscular. And as you can see, once the design has been applied to the Durango here, the results speak for themselves. Now, with all of the add-ons that SRT has given the Durango for 2018, this thing could very easily be the most expensive high-performance American SUV that has ever been. The base MSRP on my Octane Red Pearl tester here, just a hair under $63,000. However, add in a few options, which my tester does have quite a lot of today, and you're looking at a wallet-busting $73,360 as shown here. So that does beg a question. What exactly are you getting for the money? Now, should one want to open their wallet and actually spend that type of cash on one of these, the Durango SRT definitely has a lot to show for itself. And I'm not just talking about the fact this thing is rather large at 201.2 inches long, and nor am I talking about the fact that the design of this thing is absolutely insane. I mean, if I saw that front end coming at me from behind, I don't care what color it's in, I would definitely move out of the driver's way. But starting off here at the front, the Durango SRT comes standard with high-intensity discharge automatic projector headlamps wrapped in this beautiful black and silver accented housing here. You also do have automatic LED daytime running lights, and also down here below, you also have LED fog lights finishing everything off. Now, the front end of this thing, like I said, is extremely aggressive, and it's also very open. Bearing in mind, you do have a 6.4 liter Hemi V8 tucked in there. This thing does need a lot of airflow to keep that cool. So you have an open upper grille up here with the SRT badge. You do have a medium-sized intake here in the middle, and also the entire lower section is opened up as well. Now, the SRT Durango does come standard also with the ParkSense front and rear parking assist system, which includes the sensors lining the front and rear bumpers of the vehicle. However, if you want to take the active safety thing one step further, you can throw in the optional $2,500 technology group, which my tester is demonstrating today, which features things like this little bubble projection here, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. Now, even as amazing as the Durango SRT looks, one of the minor complaints that I've had over my week of testing is with these wheels. These are the optional 20 by 10 inch aluminum alloy wheels dressed in a nice gloss black from the factory. However, one of the downsides is the fact that the brakes that sit behind them generate so much brake dust that it is absolutely impossible to keep these things clean for more than a day. But on top of that, they just look a little bit small to me. They're wrapped in 295 25, 45 series Pirelli P0 tires from the factory, but they just don't look like 20s. They look a little bit on the small side, so that is a minor grievance of mine as far as looks are concerned, but underneath is the true setup of a performance machine. You have 15-inch drilled and ventilated discs from Brembo here in the front, and you have 13.8-inch disc of the same variety in the back. You also have short long arm suspension up front and multi-link suspension in the rear. Now looking at the Durango SRT from the side, you can really see a lot of its muscular body structure just bulging out of every single crease and crevice. Now there are smaller details to let you know this is no ordinary family SUV, like the 392 badges on the side, but there are some more obvious ones, again, like this high performance hood here. You do have functional heat extractors up here on each side, plus a small little air intake / heat extractor here in the middle, all forming this huge power bulge in the middle. And the hood actually is reminiscent of that found on the Hellcats and the Dodge Demon. Again, if you're going to have a big engine under there, you need to let it breathe properly. But as we go down the side, a lot of the other features are pretty standard Dodge Durango. You have body colored side view mirrors, you also have the LED turn signals, and with my tester having the optional technology group, we also have blind spot indication with cross path detection. Now moving along even further down the side, my vehicle does have Dodge's advanced keyless access system here, so you just touch the back of the handle with the key fob on you to unlock it, and simply hit the button on either one of the front door handles to lock it. But also for an extra $1,200, we have a rather small power tilting and sliding sunroof as an available option. There's no panoramic sunroof, there's not even a slightly bigger sunroof as an available option, just this slightly smaller one. It gets the job done, but I kind of wish for 73 grand that there would have been a slightly bigger sunroof in the mix, but that's again just me being nitpicky. Now looking at the Durango from the back, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how much I love the sort of rearward 3/4 section of this vehicle, specifically related to the design of the window line. Being the fact I am a little bit taller, it almost looks like a wagon to me from my particular perspective, and it actually sits low enough that to many sets of eyes in this SRT trim, it could actually pass for a wagon. Now looking at it from the rear in terms of design and features, it's pretty much standard Dodge Durango. You do have the LED racetrack taillights, full LEDs all the way across the board with, I think, halogen turn signals to be specific. You also have things such as the power tailgate, a rear backup camera, and also little things such as the SRT badge, and also a small little badge with a 4 over here to let you know that this thing is permanent all-wheel drive. But coming down here to this SRT rear specific fascia, my particular tester inside of here has the Class 4 trailer hitch as an additional option. Now the Durango SRT can tow up to 8,700 pounds, which is a class leader not only for 3-row SUVs, but also for high performance SUVs at the same time. You'll also notice the sensors here, which are part of the ParkSense rear park assist. And then of course, dominating the lower section here, we have the exhaust. And when I say exhaust, well, now finishing everything up here on the exterior portion, I just have to say once again that it has been an absolute riot having this 3-row monstrosity for an entire week. I mean, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds, almost 500 horsepower, and still the ability to haul the whole family. Now, would I still spend the $73,000+ to buy one of these? Well, on one hand, I would say yes. The performance is unrivaled. As far as 3-row SUVs go, it is simply unmatched. But on the other hand, that is a hell of a lot of money for a 3-row SUV, especially when you consider you could buy a full-size luxury car for the same price tag. But as fun as the exterior is to look at and admire, what about the inside? What's that like? Well, let's open the door and find out. Now, just like the exterior, the interior of the SRT Durango reminds you once again that this is no ordinary 3-row family SUV. You have everything from these suede and leather-lined perforated sport bucket seats with the SRT embroidery in it as well, to things like this thickly rimmed SRT-specific steering wheel. Now, before we get to all of that, there is one major gripe that I have with a few areas on the interior, and that is with the aesthetics. It just doesn't feel $73,000 worth. I mean, you have this leather-like material here lining the top of the door, but it doesn't really give. It doesn't have a whole lot of padding to it, and it almost feels kind of plastic-like, and so that is a little bit degrading. But also, you move down here and you do have a leather-wrapped armrest, but again, it feels very synthetic. It doesn't exactly feel plush or very smooth like a lot of other leathers that I've felt in other high-end SUVs. You do have a little bit of color contrast stitching to break that up, but overall the aesthetics just don't really make it feel like a $73,000 vehicle. Now, as far as your switchgear goes, it's pretty typical of a lot of modern day vehicles. You do have power windows, power mirrors. You have front automatic windows in both directions. The rest of your power windows, you also have window locks and power door locks with the keyless access, as I showed you before. Now, the driver's seat in the Durango is power adjustable. You do have multi-way recline and distance, and also 4-way lumbar support, but that also includes a 2-person memory setting for the driver's seat only. Now, you'll also notice one little sign right here which says Beats. This thing packs a standard Beats premium audio system, and when I say that this thing packs a hell of a punch, I really do mean it, and we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Now, just like its appearance would suggest from the outside, sitting here in the driver's seat of this Durango SRT makes you feel like you are large and in charge. You really do feel the space inside of this thing. Now, I'm 6'1", I'm by no means small, and I still have plenty of maneuverability to get around this interior. Now, as far as getting in and out of this thing, again, the step-in height isn't too bad, being the fact it's the SRT, so it sits a little bit lower, but also the doors front and rear are absolutely massive, so no hindrances as far as getting in and out. As far as visibility goes, the windshield is raked away at a pretty steep angle, and to some sets of eyes, it may look a little bit slim, but looking out of the sides, you do have plentiful amounts of visibility, at least out of these front 2 sets of windows. Out of the 3/4 window, it's kind of hard to see past that rear passenger headrest, but also out of the back, it actually does provide plentiful visibility. Now, with the 3rd row headrest in place, it does hamper your visibility a little bit, but there is a trick to get rid of that, and I will show you that here just a little bit later on. Now, even though it is rather pleasant outside, I say we give this thing some power. So we do have the standard Chrysler Group key fob with all of your standard functions: unlock, lock, hit this button twice for the power tailgate, hit this one twice for the remote start, and you also have panic and a retractable keyblade, which when you pull the little trigger will automatically allow this thing to slide out. But other than that, it's like any other normal smart key system. So just keep the key fob anywhere within the vehicle, put your foot on the aluminum sport brake pedal, then simply hit the red engine start button on the dashboard, and alrighty, so we got ourselves all settled down and comfy in here, so let's talk about this interior. And like I was saying before, the interior of the SRT Durango is unique in its own way. However, to many people, it still feels like a ordinary Dodge Durango, albeit with a few little touches here and there to let you know that this is the SRT version. Now, starting here directly in front of the driver, again, you have the SRT specific, very thickly bolstered and partially perforated leather-trimmed multifunction steering wheel. This includes these uniquely shaped paddle shifters here on the back. You pull the right one to shift up and pull the left one to shift down. And of course, it is adorned as usual with all of the buttons for all the electronic creature comforts in here. This little arrow pad here on the left controls the liquid crystal display, which contains your speedometer and tachometer and all kinds of other relevant information, which we'll go through here in just a bit. You also do have Bluetooth with voice recognition. You have your cruise control functions, which also includes the active cruise control, which again is part of the technology group for an extra $2,500. And also you have buttons for things such as the distance control for the active cruise control as well. Now, one other little cool thing is that at night when you turn the lights on in this thing, this SRT logo actually illuminates. So that is kind of a neat little touch. It's almost kind of gimmicky in a way, but it really is neat at night when you see this SRT logo all lit up like that. Now, as far as that interchangeable screen within the tachometer and speedometer region, there is quite a lot of information to go through, so I'll just go over some of the basic stuff. So you have your digital speedometer here and tachometer. You scroll down, you have things such as vehicle information that includes like tire pressures, coolant temperatures, and so on. This vehicle does have things such as the SRT performance pages that you can go through in the nav system, so you can do 0 to 60 times, reaction times, and so on. You also have things such as your driver assistance technology, active fuel economy, which as you can see I've not been doing very well in terms of fuel, and different things such as your trip meters, and also things like your Bluetooth, forward collision warning and active braking is on, and also vehicle instrumentation, diagnostics, speed warnings, and straight back to the original. Now, I do love the layout here. I love the red gauges with this unique font and everything, and I love the fact that while the speedometer and temperature and fuel gauges are all analog, this whole thing here is the liquid crystal display. So I really think that looks a lot more modern and very updated compared to before. Now, moving just to the left of the steering column for just a second, you do have the controls for the automatic projector headlights, instrumentation dimming, and gas cap release. But down here below the steering column, you also have the controls for the power tilting and telescoping functions as well. Now, the power tilt and telescope is standard on the SRT, so that's kind of nice that they include at least a powered function here for the steering column instead of a good old-fashioned manual one. Now, as with a lot of other high-end FCA products, this center console that we're looking at now is dominated by the 8.4-inch Uconnect touchscreen system. Now, this is Dodge's latest version of their Uconnect system, so the nav screen is a lot more updated, it looks a lot more modern, it feels a lot more modern, and above all, the touch responsiveness is far, far better. Now, it does also have things such as Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you go into the applications menu here, there's your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You also can do things such as go through your SRT performance pages. You also have things such as your heated seats, your Wi-Fi hotspots, driver assist, and so on and so forth. So there is quite a lot to go through in these, but there's so much that it would be a video in and of itself. You also do have things such as touchscreen climate controls, which again can control things such as your heated steering wheel and also front heated and ventilated seats. Now, as far as the audio system, like I was saying, this thing has a Beats premium audio system as standard on the SRT. And I'm going to tell you, with the bass cranked up and the right song, this thing packs one massive punch. So like I was saying, with the right song and that bass cranked all the way up, this Beats premium audio system definitely has all the music heads covered completely. Now, even just within this screen, there is so much to talk about that, again, it could be a video in and of itself. But some of the cool things are that you can actually bring the map over here into the center screen, which is a little annoying because it is a little on the smaller side. I would rather just go to the nav function itself. But also, my particular tester has the optional $2,000 rear DVD entertainment setup, so you can actually check the rear media or talk about what's going on in the rear media from this screen here. Now, it's all touch screen just like everything else, so you can just go straight back to the front media after you've loaded up a DVD or whatever for your rear occupants. Now, as far as the system itself, it is actually very good. I love the touch responsiveness. I love how FCA actually updated all of this. Again, gave it features like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and you also still do have standard stuff like AM and FM and a 1-year subscription to Sirius XM satellite radio. Now, moving down from that touchscreen display, we do have the usual array of buttons for things such as the dual zone automated climate controls here. You also have things such as your volume button, your tune and scroll button. You also can use that to turn on or to press enter on something. You can also turn off that touchscreen display. All you have to do is just touch the screen to turn it back on, mute your music, and so on. But the dual zone climate control system is a rather small little setup compared to the touchscreen display that you can use up here. So you have your AC mode, your air conditioning, recycling, temperature modes on either side of the fan speed knob, which is here in the middle. You can push the lower section to turn it to automatic, push the top button to turn it off, or you can control your front and rear defrosters as well. But below that, you do have a few little interesting buttons to go through. You do have your rear park assist and lane keep assist and lane departure warning that you can turn on and off. But then you have a couple of them here that are specific to most SRT vehicles. Now, you talk about a interchangeable vehicle. You push the the SRT button, you have access to 7 different modes. You can change it from towing mode to make the best of that 8,700 pound towing capacity, or you can go all the way to, say, sport mode or track mode, and then really set this thing up to have some serious fun. You do have some other little interesting features like valet mode, which will limit the power in the vehicle should you go to park it at a valet stand. That will keep those people from driving the snot out of your car while it's not in your care. But you also have the eco mode, but then again, who needs an eco mode in an SRT? Now, one of my favorite ones that I've made some serious use of is this launch button here. You hit that, put your foot all the way down on the brakes, full full pressure on the gas pedal, and then you hang on tight. Now with the launch control engaged, like I said, the SRT Durango can do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.4 seconds, and that's in an SUV that weighs over 2 or almost 2.5 tons, which is insane for a vehicle like this. So definitely a very noteworthy button, this launch control thing. You do have your traction control off button, which putting it in track mode will automatically disengage your traction control. So those are just a few of the little performance nannies and stuff that you can go through down here. But then moving even further down, you do have things such as your iPod auxiliary and 2 USB imports, and also you have a nice little cubby here that's big enough for, say, your smartphone or perhaps your wallet or a few other little odds and ends. But moving on from that, the Durango SRT is only available with one transmission, a specific 8 HP 70 8-speed electronically controlled automatic transmission. Now, unfortunately, on a different Chrysler vehicle at a totally different time, I found out this thing doesn't even have a shift lock. So that is a little concerning should the vehicle's battery die or perhaps you run out of gas, which would be pretty common occurrence with a vehicle that does 19 miles to the gallon at best here. But anyways, it is a little concerning that it doesn't have that. But anyways, I love the T-bar shifter here. I love that it's no turn dial or anything like that. You just push the button on the side and you just pull it back like a normal shifter. You do have a reverse backup camera up here on the display that does include trajectory. So when you turn the wheel, of course, the lines turn whichever way you are going. Now you also do have the automatic door locks, which once the vehicle starts moving, it will automatically lock the vehicle if it's in any other gear other than park. Now you do have the manual mode as well, which is displayed up here in the gauge cluster, but also you can use either the stick or again, you can use the paddles up here. And last but not least, down here in the center console, you do have a couple of medium-sized cup holders. These are illuminated when you actually switch on the lights, so you actually have this kind of icy blue light that actually shows up around the inside of it. Another small little cubby here, and then you have a leather-bound center console, which, as you can see, with the rear DVD entertainment system, which can play Blu-ray discs, might I add, that pretty much takes up all the storage that you have here in the center. So if you want storage in the middle, unfortunately, you're going to have to do without the rear DVD system in order to do so. Now moving back up top here, we do have the auto dimming rear view mirror. That again is standard equipment. You also do have other small little things such as your sunglasses holder, your map reading lights, controls for the power tailgate in the rear, but also the controls for things such as your HomeLink garage door system and a automatic one-touch power tilting and sliding sunroof. Now, of course, with this being a 3-row SUV, rear occupancy for both the second and third row passengers is not a problem at all. Now, where there would normally be a bench seat in some lower end Durangos, as you can see in the SRT, we have 2 singular captain's chairs here in the second row. Now, before we get into that, getting access to that third row could not be easier. You simply pull up on this lever here, the headrest automatically folds forward, then to get your final access, just pull the red strap, the seat tilts up, and as you can see, now you have access to that third row of seats. But as far as getting into the second row, again, it could not be easier. The door opens nice and wide, and you are greeted by a plentiful amount of room. Again, I'm not small, I'm 6'1", so I do have plentiful amounts of leg room. You also have plentiful amounts of headroom. The headliner has actually been raised up back here for taller occupants in the rear. And then, of course, you get to the DVD entertainment system, which, once you flip the screen up, as you can see, it automatically turns on. Now, if you don't want to put a DVD in the system up there, you can actually plug in something like a TV or maybe a laptop here into the side. I'm thinking a laptop more so, because you do have an HDMI port here in the side and also 2 sets of audio-video controls on either one of the front seats. Now, the comforts, aside from the DVD entertainment system in this vehicle, do not stop there. You do have 2 stage heated seats here for the second row, as well as 2 active USB ports to finish it all off. Now, as one can probably imagine, cargo space is also one of the Durango's fortes. So, we open up this standard rear power tailgate on this SRT here, and we're suddenly greeted with a vast amount of space. Now, behind the third row of seats, you're looking at 17 cubic feet of space, which is about on par with some of today's mid-sized sedans. However, the magic really happens when you start folding down this third and second row of seats. When you fold down the third row of seats, you're looking at 48 cubic feet. You fold down the second and third row of seats, and that suddenly extends to 84.5 cubic feet of space. Now, that is pretty class competitive in terms of size. I think it's only beaten by the Chevrolet Traverse, which is about 90-something cubic feet of space. But overall, it's still a vast vehicle and still plenty of storage for just about anything, including people, if you want to turn this into a bed of some kind. I'm not kidding. Now, thanks to my tester's trailer tow group, which is an available option, you do have a 20-inch spare wheel hidden underneath, but opening up this little tray here, unfortunately, you're only going to find a rear storage compartment which houses things such as your jack and toolkit. But overall, it's still just another one of the vast vehicles that we will see on the road. Now, if it isn't pretty obvious by the monstrous sounds coming out of the back of this thing, looking under the hood of this Durango SRT reveals some serious firepower. You're looking at the same 6.4 liter overhead valve 392 cubic inch V8 that you'll find in the Grand Cherokee SRT, the Chrysler 300 SRT, and of course the Challenger and Charger SRT respectively. In the all-wheel drive Durango SRT, you're looking at 475 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, again making this the most powerful 3-row SUV that you can currently buy today. It'll knock out 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds and go on to a top speed, at least according to the speedometer, somewhere in the range of 170 to 180 miles an hour. Now, fuel efficiency is not really the name of the game here, but in case anyone is interested, it's 13 in the city and 19 on the highway. Now, these Durango SRTs only come in all-wheel drive, but nevertheless, this has been one badass power plant, and it's certainly no exception here in this Durango. Now, being that this is still a family-oriented 3-row SUV, the Durango SRT still carries safety as one of its priorities. Now, again, my tester has the optional technology group, which rolls in at least 5 different active safety features, some of which may be a little bit more specific to this vehicle than on an ordinary Durango. Now, these include the adaptive cruise control, the full speed forward collision warning, the active braking assist, blind spot indication with cross path detection, and lane departure warning plus. Now, getting into the passenger seat, you of course are cocooned in an array of different airbags as well. You have the front impact airbags, side curtain and side impact airbags all the way across to the back seats. And of course you have things like a driver's knee airbag hidden here underneath the steering column. So it's pretty fair to say that even with a nuclear missile hiding up under the hood and the ability to basically demolish most sports car acceleration times, this thing can still be a very safe vehicle. Now, as far as passenger comfort, it's just like the driver's seat. It's nice and soft. The support is great actually on these seats, although they are a little bit wide. So if you are of a little bit wider stature, I think you'll definitely find them just as comfortable. Thigh support, it's not exactly great. It's not as big a bolsters as say up here on the sides, but still they are very comfortable seats overall. And again, they are heated and ventilated just for a little extra comfort. Now, as far as the glove box is concerned, it's nothing special. It is a little on the small side actually, looking just in here on a glance, but it also is lined in felt, which is nice. Again, this is a $74,000 SUV, and as you can see, it's also damped, so it falls nice and softly. And unfortunately, on that note, everybody, our time here with the 2018 Dodge Durango SRT 392 has now unfortunately drawn to a close. I do hope everybody's enjoyed this review as much as I've had fun making it for y'all. Now, if you guys like what you see, please do give this video a thumbs up, and also be sure to click that subscribe button down below for many more videos like this and more to come in the future. But in the end, a huge thanks goes out to the folks at SRT and Dodge for lending me this absolute monster for an entire week of testing. But in the end, guys, from the north end of Houston, Texas, this has been Grand Prix GTP 02, and I will see y'all next time. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.